Hey guys, Desolate Magic here, and today, January 13th, 2020, was the next ban and restricted announcement for all formats, and we got the ban hammer swinging. Remember, the golden rule of Magic is there's always at least one format that's completely broken that they're refusing to do anything about in a timely manner, and wait until you see the little gem they stuck in at the end of this one about why they didn't ban a certain card. Oh, you are going to throw furniture. So unfortunately, all three cards were banned from Modern, a format where they try to take a bunch of cards that were never play tested together and make that somehow work. Spoiler alert, it doesn't. So the three cards that were banned are Mox Opal, unsurprisingly, Mycosynth Lattice, finally, and oh my gosh, you saw this coming, Oko Thief of Crowns, which is now the most banned card in the history of the game. I mean, how does a person at Wizards screw up this bad and still have a job? When the card's so overpowered and so undertested and so misunderstood that it has to be banned from almost every format that it can possibly be played in. This is at least the 6th ban. I think it's actually the 7th ban. Because remember, it was separately banned from Arena Brawl and then Brawl. Yes, I'm counting it twice. Let's read their explanations before I get into my thoughts and what they should have banned in multiple formats. So over the last several weeks, base blue-green decks, which I have no idea, I've never heard that term in my life, using Urza Lord High Artificer, there's your problem, have risen to the top of competitive Modern, earning the most 5-0 trophies in Magic Online League play and maintaining a non-mirror match win percentage of more than 55%. Now guys, 55% is their cutoff. They have said this. If it reaches 60, it's basically an automatic ban, and if it's 55%, they will strongly consider it. This was at 55%. 55% is effectively considered unbeatable as far as statistics go. You might not think so, it might not seem like it, but just take Wizards of the Coast and my combined word on it that 55% is way too far. Also, these decks have a winning matchup against 9 of the other 10 most popular competitive decks, indicating an inability of the metagame to adjust on its own. I mean, the other thing is, should it? I mean, I love Modern changing all the time. I don't think anybody who participates in Modern likes it changing all the time, because they got to drop another grand on another deck. And fetch lands are $100 again now because they refuse to reprint a damn thing. I guess they don't like literally printing money called Masters sets. Wizards, it's not hard. You reprint the cards, we hand you money. Like, what is complicated about that? Which actually, the answer is Masters 25 and Iconic Masters. Apparently, it's really complicated to them. Put $600 in a box. They're done. It's not complicated in general. Anyway, the cards most strongly contributing to the high win rate of these decks are Urza, and Urza. But instead of banning that, they're going to ban Oko Thief of Crowns and Mox Opal. 2 cards, instead of Urza. How many cards have been banned from Modern Horizons because they tried to screw with Modern and they went way too far? And Urza was one of them. In fact, people looked at it and they're like, you've got to be kidding me. And then fast forward a couple months, it turns out you've got to be kidding me. So instead of banning that and admitting their mistake, which they finally did with Hogak after deflecting and banning, I don't know, some other bullshit that had nothing to do with the deck, they're banning Oko Thief of Crowns, which, I mean, okay, the argument can be made that that card's Toxic AIDS, and Mox Opal, which people have been complaining about for years and years and years. So they've officially, by choosing Mox Opal, banned more value and more decks than they would have if they did Urza, a relatively new card that's in relatively new decks, or one deck, really. So they would have done a lot less damage if they banned Urza, but let's see if they have some statistics or math or numbers or whatever to support these two, because they might. So Oko Thief of Crowns has become the most played card in competitive Modern. This is true. I was going to send a picture of that on my community tab, but I forgot. This is absolutely true. It is, or it was, it's not is, it was the #1 most played card in Modern. Oh, pardon me, competitive Modern. There's a difference. Other Modern is actually fun. The inclusion rate is approaching 40% of decks in recent league play and tabletop tournaments. Okay, clearly I don't have to think very hard about the last deck to beat that ratio. It was Eldrazi. It was in the high 60s. But before that, nothing comes to mind. It's been years before we've seen a card do that. Anyway, in addition to having a high overall power level, you don't say, Oko has proven to reduce metagame diversity and diversity of gameplay patterns in Modern. Yeah, bring him out, stop everything. That's gameplay. That is it. That's what you're devolving to. Like, kill Oko or lose is the other 50%. In order to improve the health of gameplay and to weaken Urza decks and other top decks, Oko Thief of Crowns is banned in Modern. So, okay, they're banning Oko from the Urza deck because it makes the Urza deck more powerful, but really Oko was the problem. He's in many, many, many different decks. So it's to the point where you don't ban the deck, you ban the card. So that I get behind. Now let's read about Mox Opal, because this should be interesting. Because remember, everybody's favorite breakfast classic, Mox Oatmeal, was printed in Scars of Mirrodin, which came out a really freaking long time ago. So, just now they're realizing it's toxic, degenerate, and not good for Modern. Really? I'm skeptical. I would have just banned Urza, but for all I know, that this wasn't even in that deck. I don't know. I haven't paid any attention to Modern. I don't care. It's such an overpowered, obnoxious shit show, and especially with Oko, just forget it. So they actually start out the Mox section by still talking about Oko, because he went on a rampage. In addition to being an important part of blue-green Urza decks, Oko was also used by a number of other top Modern decks. Our data indicates that removing Oko alone would still leave Urza decks in a dominant position in the metagame. So ban Urza, you morons! We considered options that would further weaken Urza-based artifact decks. Ban Urza! While still allowing for decks based around that general strategy. Why? How about you ban Urza instead, since Urza's the problem? It's called an Urza deck. You literally just called it an Urza-based artifact deck. Ban Urza. Ultimately, we determined that banning Mox Opal was the correct option. Well, you're wrong. Ban Urza. Effectively, Urza is just Arcbound Ravager or Cranial Plating. I mean, that's what he is. So shockingly enough, after just Artifact Affinity by itself was a tier 1 deck in Modern for years, adding another one of its win cons to the game, messed it up a little bit. Whoever designed that card should not just be fired from Wizards, they should be sued for damages for their incompetence. Along with whoever decided not to just ban Urza, because seriously, who's that stupid? So as a source of fast mana in the early game, Mox Opal has long contributed to strategies that seek to end the game quickly and suddenly, whether with explosive attacks, one-turn win combos, or by locking out the opponent with prison elements. Yeah, prison decks should be against the rules somehow. Lantern Control is the number one deck that I want banned in Modern, and like literally nobody plays anymore. Don't care, still want it banned. In fact, any deck in any format that doesn't let anybody else play their deck at a basic level at all needs to be banned. In fact, I feel stupider having to say that out loud to everybody watching and to Wizards of the Coast because it's so f***ing obvious. And yet, they still don't get it. They claim they care about fun, interesting gameplay, but they don't. Otherwise, Lantern Control would have been banned ages ago. But prison decks are now losing Mox Opal, which is huge. While none of these decks previously warranted a ban of Mox Opal, see, that's how they're covering their ass because they know when it was printed, it has historically been a part of decks that approached problematic impact on the metagame, or did indeed necessitate other bans. That's true. Other decks that were banned involved Mox Opal. They are not wrong there. And I mean, what's wrong with most of these decks is too much access to too much mana too early in the game. So, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I would have banned Mox Opal and Urza. I certainly don't disagree with the logic of banning Mox Opal. I just think that they're just idiots to have printed Urza in the first place, and they're twice as stupid for not banning it now. As the strongest enabler in the recent Urza artifact decks, and a card that has been concerning in the past and would likely cause balance issues in the future, Mox Opal is banned in Modern. So, I mean, yeah, good riddance. People have been kind of buzzing about this card getting banned for as long as I've been playing, at least 6, 7, 8 years. So, I mean, really, just about since the beginning of Modern. And finally, they got around to getting rid of it, saying, yeah, it's been concerning in the past, and it'll probably continue to be concerning in the future. So, it should have said, combo, whoopsies, we should have banned it years ago. Okay, fine, we're fixing it now. Like, that's what I'm hearing from this. I mean, if you summarize the paragraph, years and years and years and years and years of this being broken and in borderline obnoxious decks that almost merited a ban or did merit a ban, and we still didn't pull the trigger because we're a bunch of bitches. So this last one should be interesting because I only know one deck that it's in, and that deck is Complete Cancer, but I don't think that's what most people play it in. It's what I call the Spray Painter deck, where you turn everything into an artifact and then just spam Naturalize. So you can basically blow up everything, bounce everything back to hand. It's horrible. A card like this never should have been printed because it says all permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types. So I mean, Hurkyl's recalled, you're dead, you're gone, that's it. I mean, it affects yours too, but still, usually somebody puts out some durable thing and yeah. But the Spray Painter deck that I've seen was they spray paint chrome on top of all your stuff, turning into a robot. It's a SpongeBob reference. Anyway, then they just take pot shots at your land, and they can cast at least one Naturalize effect per turn. I hate to even call it Naturalize. A lot of them cost one. You play a mountain, they blow it up because it's an artifact. So destroy target artifact, 1 mana, boom, done, gone. So without mana, you're screwed. And I mean, if you're generating mana a different way, they'll just blow that up because everything's an artifact. Mycosynth Lattice never should have been printed. So just now they're figuring this out. So their explanation for this was, lastly, we'd like to take this opportunity to address another problematic interaction between Karn, the Great Creator, and Mycosynth Lattice. Oh yeah, that's the problem. I mean, those two cards together are insane, but I mean, Mycosynth Lattice deserved a ban by itself, let's be honest. So Karn says activated abilities of artifacts your opponents control can't be activated, and all of their permanents are artifacts. So people pointed out this interaction to Wizards of the Coast during spoilers that included Karn. It literally took the community a matter of hours after they saw this card to immediately say, well, that's going to be a problematic interaction in Modern. And let's see, when was Karn announced? I mean, it's War of the Sparks, so we're looking at, at least 6 months, plus spoilers, like 6-7 months away, something like that. So it took them almost half a year to be like, yep, the community was right. So it took them over 6 months, and it took us less than 6 hours. That's the level of stupidity we're working with here. And by the way, remember the ending. The ending's even worse. So this combination, popular in Eldrazi and other Tron decks, oh, that I didn't know, oh god, can completely lock the opponent out from casting further spells. While decks featuring this combination often win in other ways, the deck building cost to include this interaction is low. See, that's surprising, because those decks are kind of tight. Causing it to show up more often than is fun in competitive play. Oh, now we give a shit about fun, all of a sudden. After Nexus Infinite turns Solitaire Lockout, now we give a shit about fun. Really? Hey, Wizards, you want to know a secret? I don't believe you. I don't think that that's true. I think you're lying. Yeah, fun, enjoyable gameplay. They don't realize that that's necessary. They don't know what it is. They hired a bunch of dumbass former pro players. They only care about statistics, math, winning, and numbers, and that's it. And then like, why is F&M attendance down? Why is everybody leaving Arena? What do they mean they're not having fun? Fun isn't part of Magic. Deck diversity and fair numbers are the only thing important in Magic. I don't get it. They need to fire every moron where that is clearly evidenced by their work what their opinion of Magic is. Because if the game ain't fun, we ain't playing it. Don't know if you realize that or not. I don't just sit there and say, well, that was a miserable waste of my time. Let's play another game. No, I leave and play something else. I stopped showing up to F&M over a year ago because it's a waste of my time. I'm not enjoying the gameplay. I'd literally rather be home doing chores like the laundry and cleaning my bathroom than playing F&M. When people get to that level because there's such shit decks ruining Standard and ruining Modern, maybe you should change your ban parameters and maybe you should change your design philosophy to put fun first. Not power cards, not money, not Modern over Standard, not selling singles to net decking douchebags who don't care if their opponent's having fun. Fun, interesting, enjoyable, diverse gameplay. So every time during one of these ban announcements that they bring up the word fun, call me crazy, but I don't think that they're enforcing that policy consistently. And honestly, fun's way more important in Standard than it is in Modern. People play Modern for the power level. And people play Commander for fun. It's a tiered thing. So anyway, they say, as a result, we're banning Mycosynth Lattice in Modern. Just because of Karn, apparently. Not because of any other deck or any other use of that card. Sure. Well, that one asshole from my old LGS from hell that plays Spray Painter, your deck too. By the way, my Beholder Alpha 3.0 deck in Modern ended up beating it. Isochron Scepter already is an artifact, asshole, and I got a counterspell stuck on it. F you. Well, the primary motivation for this last change is the Unfun play pattern. Really, we also intend for this to be a small but meaningful balance change to Eldrazi and other Tron decks. So what they're trying to say is, the deck was banned for being so toxic. Once the combo comes out, you can't do shit. You just hit a wall where you're like, okay, there is not one card in my deck that will now function. I forfeit. And people were just getting pissed. A prison deck that powerful where just 2 cards can consistently just say, hey, you're done, you can't do anything, your whole deck is shut down. Yeah, unfun gameplay. And the funny thing is, it didn't have anything special for the matchup ratios, the advantages. It probably had a field disadvantage. But the fact that people are playing it and that it's a viable tier 1 deck means that you might come across it once in a while and you might get so mad you quit the format forever. It's the same thing as when Nexus was in Standard. 1 person brings it to FNM and 10 people stop showing up to FNM because of it. That is what you get with this unfun, game-ending lockout bullshit. So finally, they have banned yet another card/deck purely and exclusively because it's driving people away from the format with incredibly oppressive, unfun gameplay. Which, I mean, if you're going that route, I could give you 10 more cards that fit that list better than Mycosynth Lattice. I'll tell you that right now. And all 10 of them are in Lantern control. Just kidding, some of them are. In fact, for example, would anyone like to explain to me why the card Choke is still legal in Modern? And I'm sorry, but nobody plays it is not a valid excuse. If 1 person in the history of planet Earth has ever played this 1 time in 1 deck in 1 game of Modern, that is too many. The card reads, islands don't untap during their controller's untap steps. Oh, and don't forget about Boyle, also from 8th edition, destroy all islands. Well, that's the original text. The updated Oracle text is, if you're playing blue, you're you lose, you don't get to play your deck anymore, just forfeit. That's the updated Oracle text. How are Choke and Boyle still legal in Modern? Why are they still legal in Modern? That is the definition of a game-ending shutdown prison deck. This is where my ban philosophy and Wizards ban philosophies take a little bit of a different track. I don't give a flying f*** how many people play the card. If it says that, it can f*** right off. Now, Wizards is like, well, it's not in any certain tier 1 decks yet. It's not in our statistics. Nobody's playing it at a certain tournament. Read the words on the card. Now, what about destroy all islands make you think, let's wait and see if this becomes a problem? If anybody plays this in any significant decks, it would be a problem. So ban it now. Now, if you're thinking, well, this is just a one-time example, that's not actually their philosophy. This was actually all a segue to their last paragraph. Are you ready for this one? We're also aware of the community buzz around the combination of Heliod, Suncrowned, and Walking Ballista in Pioneer, which if you're not familiar, you bring out those 2 cards and win. And one of them's indestructible. It's an infinite combo, and one of the pieces is indestructible. Oh, one's an artifact and one's a legendary enchantment creature god, all of which are very easily fetchable. And Heliod only costs 3, and Walking Ballista... it kind of depends what it's in, but it costs 2. So in case you're not getting this yet, so 100% for sure, if you are going first, you can kill them on your turn 3, their turn 2. There's another, I'd say unwritten, but they literally wrote it down and stated it in text. There is a rule in Modern that if a deck wins too often before turn 4, it's banned right off the bat, and that's Modern. This is Pioneer we're talking about. So Walking Ballista is currently about a $30 card. It was similar when it was in Standard. It was completely ruining Standard, utterly and completely. Everybody wanted it banned, and Wizards was a bunch of pansy-ass little bitches and wouldn't ban it. That's the history of Walking Ballista. It is an inherently broken and unfair card, and when you expand it to other sets, it gets worse. So one of the only, within reason, ways to stop this combo is to counter either one of the spells that summon them before they can hit the battlefield, because afterwards it's too late. With Ballista, they can just use the ability in response, I think. And then with Heliod, it's indestructible. So, I mean, what are you going to exile at instant speed? Probably not. I mean, it's not impossible, but probably not. So the only way to beat this combo is to be playing blue. I mean, within reason. There's probably 30 other ways to stop it, but within reason in decks and cards that people actually play. So there is a 100% chance that this will be a problematic combination in Pioneer. This is basically the infinite flicker Felidar cat combo Saheeli bullshit, but more direct, faster, and more obvious. And it took them weeks to ban the Saheeli infinite combo with Felidar. And everybody before the set even came out told them, well, this is going to be a problem. They're like, well, maybe not. Let's wait and see. Now, once again, if you think that I'm making that up, let's read the next sentence. In keeping with our philosophy of letting the Pioneer metagame prove itself through play results, our plan is to not take any preemptive actions against this combination. Are you that fucking stupid, Wizards? Are you actually that stupid? This is like taking a toddler, pouring gasoline all over them, handing them a lighter, and then sitting them down in front of a television with an instructional video on how to use a lighter showing on the TV. And Wizards is sitting here saying, well, maybe it won't be. There is a 100% chance it's going to become a problem. Let's just say it was a 90% chance. That's still too much. Let me phrase this a different way. What does the community as a whole and the world and human society lose if they ban Heliod Suncrown from Pioneer before it comes out? They lose access to a grand total of one deck. I mean, theoretically, Heliod could have been in something else, but oh well, collateral damage over a ban. I mean, we've never seen that before. So maybe they lose access to 5 or 6 decks, but shit happens. I mean, in my opinion, they should ban Walking Ballista and leave Heliod alone. Or ban both of them. They're both horribly overpowered. I honestly don't give a shit at this point. So the potential gains of leaving Heliod and Walking Ballista in the format are a tiny, tiny fraction of a percent of an increase in deck diversity and deck building options. I mean, they're literally adding 1 card to a pool of like 4,000 cards. And the benefit of pre-banning it would be to stop a deck that everybody on the planet can tell them will be a problem and will need to be banned. But they're not going to take preemptive action. Really? Now that's kind of funny because when somebody found an infinite combo with Hostage Taker, a card that combos with itself because they were too stupid to proofread the card, before the card even launched, they did an Oracle Text errata update to change the wording of the card. So in other words, they got rid of / banned the old version of the card and replaced it with a slightly tweaked version of the card. I mean, that in effect, that's what they did. But I mean, in more simple terms, they took action. They did something about it before it became a problem because it was so painfully obvious that it would become a problem. Are you seeing the problem with consistent enforcement of their own policies and strategies and basic logic and reason and anything? Seriously, R&D and playtesting must be the stupidest people on the planet. There's no words, there's no explanation that could possibly be made at this point to explain why these people are so incompetent and so like willingly, purposely bad at their job. It can't be an accident. They have to be trying to damage the company of the game on purpose. That's the only explanation I can think of. Nobody is this stupid. Nobody whose full time it is to review cards and combinations and decks and balancing and fairness and do math can come up with let's wait and see on this. Or the Saheeli combo, or sign off on Oko, or sign off on Walking Ballista, or sign off on anything that's been banned in the last 2.5 years, which is about 15 cards. It cannot be an accident or incompetence at this point. Nobody that bad at their job would still have their job. It's not possible. So it makes me beyond furious that these fucking morons will not ban Heliod or Walking Ballista until it ruins a couple tournaments and events. And then they're like, well, okay, now that the damage has been done and we lost a bunch of players and pissed off people and people already built this deck and net deckers are already spending hundreds of dollars to build it, now we'll ban it when we can do the most damage. Now that we can piss off the highest number of people in ruining several tournaments in a row and then ruining anybody who actually built this deck, now is the appropriate time to ban this. Not when the math clearly indicates that it's blatantly going to be a problem. No, now we're going to do it. Who thinks like that? Anyone who works in that department, how and why do you still have your job? I am very curious. So anyway, get ready to tell Wizards we all told you so. In fact, they themselves told themselves that it might be a problem ahead of time, so now everybody, including themselves, is warning themselves about this problem. This one particular card combo. Oh gee, I guess we could all have a big laugh at how much of a mistake it was to not pre-ban it after it already ruins months worth of tournaments. Ha ha ha. So anyway, moving on from all this horse shit, why didn't they ban Fires of Invention? Because remember, anything that goes above 55% win rate against the most powerful decks in the field, ban. When it reaches 60, possible emergency ban. Fires of Invention was in the high 60s in the last tournament results that I saw for standard. So there was a 100% chance within their own rules that Fires of Invention would be banned. It was too high of a density represented at the last tournament that I saw. Now this was a while ago, it was a couple weeks ago, like at least two. And it beat everything in the field with way too high of a proficiency. So it was so far into ban territory, there was a 100% chance it would get banned. So what the hell is it doing still legal? Based on my gameplay in the last week in Arena, I would say it somehow magically dropped in popularity because I haven't been seeing it all that often. I mean, it was literally every other game and maybe people just adapted and planned for it. I don't know. It's really hard to say. That is the only thing that could have kept it from getting banned, is if it went way up for one tournament and they're like, whoa, ban this shit. And then all of a sudden everybody adjusted. That's the only thing I can think of. Now, they didn't even mention the card in here. And honestly, I would assume that it's the same explanation for Cavalcade. I've been seeing it less because it was so powerful and so impossible to stop that people only play decks that can stop it now. So now less people play it and it has a lower success rate. So it looks like the problem was solved, but really if you wanted to solve the problem, you would just ban Cavalcade. So right now, I mean, the majority of my decks crush that stupid deck. Just obliterate it. And people are still playing it on Arena. I mean, it's probably about 1 in 5 of my games. In the Platinum and Diamond Leagues only. So between that and Fires of Invention, that's basically all anybody was playing. I mean, that was more than half my games. For sure, more than half. And then all of a sudden it wasn't. Now people are back to like Wolf Food and Simic Flash, Mono Blue, Flash Draw Go. I'm just seeing that more. So what I think is everybody adjusted, but they shouldn't have needed to. That's why Fires of Invention should have been banned instead. The meta should not need to play absolutely every deck. Just drop what you're playing and immediately build something that can stop this deck and this deck, because otherwise nothing else beats them. They're too powerful. And then Wizards is like, well, I guess it fixed itself. No, it's not fixed. Ban the fucking cards. Now, the other thing is they both happen to be red enchantments. So any countermeasures you have to stop one deck stops the other. So that's why I think everybody was just like, well, I just need to remove red enchantments. Okay. Or have such an oppressive level of board wiping and creature removal that you just don't let them have creatures. Because 100% of the time that'll beat Cavalcade, and then about 50% of the time that'll beat Fires. So people have appeared to, at least in the last week or so on Arena, resorted to just leaning back on very, very heavy control decks. And I don't mean like 80% control draw go decks. I mean like 1/4 to 1/3 of their deck is control just as an insurance policy. So they went with a much more basic, simpler core to the deck for what it actually does, but then it's backed up by removal and counter spells. That's what anybody is playing these days, me included. So to Wizards, by their statistics, does it look like it was fixed? Yes, but should they still ban both of those cards? Yes, it's misleading. Standard is not in a healthy place. Those decks are still played. They're still not fun. They're still too powerful. Free casting will never be okay, ever, in any form. But because the statistics are lying to them and making everything look okay, I assume that's why both of those cards haven't been banned, and that is a real shame that they're misled by such basic logic and basic reasoning. How they should start a ban decision should be taking large surveys of as many players as possible, not just pro players, random everyday players, and say, what deck and what cards can you not stand? What is ruining the game in your opinion? And then whatever the top 10 are, focus on them for the ban announcements. And then just say, yeah, I mean, everybody hates board wipes, duh. Like, they voted for it because they don't like they're getting shit blown up. Sometimes the game needs board wipes, too bad. Oh, you don't like Dovin's veto? Well, off, too bad. Nobody likes counterspells. Control is part of the game. But when people say, I'm sick of people playing X card because it's not fun, the game it's in, I didn't even get to play, the opponent won on turn 4, or like Search for Azcanta, they just got to a place where they could counter every single spell I cast. I literally could not play Magic. I'm pissed off. Here's why. Do something about it. That is what they should be listening to. They should not go to statistics first. They should not go to tournament results first. They should go to the players and ask, what is pissing you off? What is making you not want to play Magic, not enjoy playing Magic, and not spend money to play more Magic because you're having fun with it? What is pushing you to other hobbies instead of Magic because this card, this card, this card, and this deck, and whatever this strategy are ruining it? That should be the starting place, and that is never the starting place. They don't get it. They just go with math and numbers and selectively, oh, now we're using MTGO. Oh, but now we're using this Grand Prix. Oh, but now we're using this for the basis. So what they're really doing is just doing whatever the hell they want, whatever they think is best, then finding some evidence somewhere to kind of justify it. A little half-truth that they can tell to the community about why they're doing what they're doing. A properly managed game would be, hey, let's not piss off the users and make the game not fun. I mean, call me crazy, that would apply to any video game, card game, really any product. Hell, you could apply that to like a concert. Oh, the crowd isn't enjoying it. Maybe we should do something about it. Not just, oh, let's look at ticket sales. No, if people are pissed and certain people aren't showing up, fix the sound system. Like, find out what's wrong, ask the people why they're leaving and why they're not having fun, and then do something about it. But nope, they're never going to do that. They're too fucking stupid, too clueless, too arrogant. There's no listening to the community. There's no accountability. Whoever let these cards be a thing in the first place, they still have their jobs. It's mostly Aaron Forsythe and Mark Rosewater. They're never going to fire them. Hasbro needs to step in and just say, who let these two fucking morons still work here? You're both fired. Get the fuck out of here. Somebody who knows what they're doing, please take their place. But that is never going to happen. Never, never, never going to happen. So Standard is still going to be shit. Modern is still going to be shit. All the formats are going to be shit. All the ban announcements are going to be uninformed, way too late, just idiotic shit. And even bans like this are like putting a Band-Aid on somebody who got their arm blown off. Too little, too late, too small of a step, and just at a basic level, not even the right strategy. Not even going about it in the right way or at the right scale from the get-go. So to everybody involved in this announcement, fuck you, get a clue. You're included too, Ian Duke. Hi. There's at least 4 other people that go into play testing and design and all that shit. But, at this point, who cares? They all need to go. Their strategy is wrong. Their philosophy is wrong. Their skills are wrong. Their math is wrong. Just get out of the company. Please. Just quit your job and get the out of Wizards of the Coast. Please. We're begging you as a community. You can't do your job. You're costing them millions of dollars and you're pissing off 10 million people. So that's my review and my take on the wonderful ban announcement today that didn't fix a damn thing. I'm sure Modern will still be a complete and utter shit show, and Standard remains completely unfixed. And I think we all know that the real reason they're not banning anything is because they think Theros will fix it. Well, they're wrong. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Wish I had better news for you, but this is Magic the Gathering. I think we all know how this game works at this point. There is no such thing as good news or actually fixing anything ever. I'll see you guys next video.